Hello, I'm going to do a short video of Partial Life of Harriet Tubman. I'm getting most of the information from this book, Harriet Tubman, by George Sullivan. It's a Scholastic book. Pretty big lettering, if you can see that, for us old people. And for young people who are just starting to read, but for old people who have diminished vision. So anyways, let me try and move this up here. Okay, so Harriet Tubman, because information on slaves was not kept very well, we don't know the exact date of Harriet Tubman, or even the exact year of Harriet Tubman's birth. She was born in either approximate 1820 or 1821 in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, her birth name, I did not get this from the book, but her birth name was Araminta Ross. Now, I'm not sure I'm saying that right, so I'm going to show you it on the computer screen. That Araminta Ross. Now, her parents were enslaved people, and she was owned, let me see, she was a property of, they were all property of Edward Broadus. Not sure if I'm saying that name right. She was the youngest of 11 children. That's a lot of kids. And at the time, slave owners who were kind of having a hard time making their bills, whatever, paying their bills, would often rent out or lend out their slaves. And Harriet's owner was not doing well financially, so pretty much all his slaves he would rent out whenever they weren't working for him. And that included Harriet. I don't know when she went from, okay, Harriet Tubman's mother's name is Harriet. That's how she got the name Harriet. I don't know when she started using the name Harriet. I have never found, I don't know if they started calling her Harriet right, they just had her birth name, but started calling her Harriet right off the bat, or if it's something that came later on. I've had no, I've read a lot on Harriet Tubman, and I've had no information as to when she started using Harriet, the name Harriet. Anyway, so she was rented out, and she did, let's see, she was, at one time she was a babysitter, another time she was, her responsibility was to manage the lobster, I think it was lobster traps along the coastline. Now, she did various things. Okay, none of these things she got paid for. Her owner got paid for this stuff, not her. Even though she did all the work. That's just how slavery was. Now, I heard differing stories. Now, this book here, along the lines when she was still enslaved, she had a head injury, a traumatic brain, what we would call a traumatic brain injury. Now, this book here says, this is the story of that. Harriet wouldn't help her owner beat a slave when he tried to run away. The owner threw a rock. The slave was trying to escape. He threw the rock at the slave, but Harriet was in the way, and the rock hit her. Now, another story I heard from a different source was that during one of her rentals, she was taxed with babysitting a baby throughout the night. She would have to stay up all night and rock the baby so the baby wouldn't cry, so the parents of the child could sleep. Of course, she would fall asleep because she was having to watch the baby during the day too. So she would occasionally fall asleep. The baby would start crying, the parents would get up and start whipping her, and one time they hit her in the head and she concussed, right? Well, whatever the story was, she suffered the rest of her life from that brain injury. She would have terrible headaches. She would also have occasional blackouts. So that affected her. She was only, her height never reached over about 5 foot tall. So she was a short person. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't know, and I didn't know, was that the Underground Railroad was fully functioning before Harriet Tubman even made her escape. Harriet Tubman did not organize the Underground Railroad. As a matter of fact, she escaped via the Underground Railroad. We're not there yet, but I just wanted to add that. Harriet Tubman, of course she was not Tubman yet, she was Ross, married John Tubman, who was free. He was a free black man in 1844. She was about 23. Him being free got Harriet to wondering, like, why am I not free? What's the backstory in this? How did this happen? How did he get free? How am I not free? Well, she paid a lawyer, and it was only $5 at the time. She paid a lawyer to look into her mother's records, and her lawyer uncovered the fact that one of her mother's owners along the way said that she should be freed at the age of 45, Harriet's mother. Now, that would have made Harriet free, right? I'm assuming either Harriet was not yet born or Harriet was a baby when when her mother would have turned 45. But that didn't happen. Her owner had died. That owner had died, and she was supposed to be willed to his daughter. Can't remember if her daughter, it somehow skipped the daughter. The daughter died young. Something like that. And it just never happened. But too much time had passed. The lawyer told Harriet, too much time had passed. She had no case. No one would listen to her case. So that's when Harriet decided to run away. She says, I should be freed. By law, I should be freed. By morality, I should be freed. I'm leaving. Because there's no other way I'm going to get free. Well, she told her husband about her desire to go north to freedom, and this little jerk told her that he would tell her owner if she tried to escape. And, okay, this is my input here. I think the reason he did that was because he liked her being enslaved, because then she was basically property of him. Like, he was her only, because she was enslaved, she had no freedom to do anything. The only thing she had, the only person she had was her husband. As far as I know, she didn't have any kids. She never had any kids. She definitely didn't have any kids at this time. So, to me, I think he liked her enslaved because that meant she had to stay with him. If she got freed, she could leave because she'd have opportunity. That's my opinion. Either way, it was a real low-down thing for him to do. So her first attempt at running away was with her brothers. Her brothers wimped out. They went back. They got a little ways out. The brothers wimped out. They went back. So she went back because she wasn't prepared to escape alone. Her second attempt, she had already determined by that time that she's like, I'm going to have to do this alone. I can't rely on men. And I can't rely on my brothers. I can't rely on my husband. So her second attempt was successful. She went at night when her husband was asleep so he wouldn't know, so he wouldn't tell on her. Once free, she settled in Pennsylvania. Her first get this, her first passengers, I'll explain what passengers are. Her first passengers was her sister and brother-in-law. She found out, okay, her brother-in-law was it John Bowley, I believe his name was it. I can't remember her sister's name. Anyways, he was free. She was enslaved, and her children were enslaved. The owner of Harriet's sister was about to sell her. Hopefully this isn't getting too convoluted here. But which would break up the family because her husband was free, right? And so they needed to escape. Now, this is as far as I got in this book. This is why this is going to be such a short one. I'm going to explain Underground Railroad terms. Underground Railroad was not literally an underground railroad. I think y'all know that. It's just a system devised to free enslaved people. And they called it underground because it was supposed to be kind of hush-hush. Just like you had the underground speakeasies and the underground clubs, and you have like the underground mafia and stuff. This is just illegal stuff in the hiding. You didn't literally have underground bars, speakeasies during the Depression. It was just, secret bars, after hours bars. The mafia isn't literally underground. They're walking amongst us up here on the earth. It's just that it's a secret thing. Just like your dark web is an underground web. Anyway, so they did use, the people who quote unquote ran the Underground Railroad, they would use railroad terminology just for more discretion. Like a depot would basically be a stop. A depot would be anywhere where an enslaved person could stop to get some rest, to get some food, to get a bath, to get a change of clothes, just to hide out for a while till the coast is clear and they can move on, because sometimes, there might be slave catchers or even slave runners in the area, and so they'd have to hide out for a while. Well, they'd hide out in the depot. They'd also call them stops. Stops typically were more temporary. They were just basically hideouts until you could move on to somebody's home where you could rest and get food and change of clothes, bath, whatever. The passengers were the enslaved people who were heading toward freedom. Your conductor was the people who were helping. Mostly it was the people who were taking a person from one area to another. Not really so much the people who were in the homes or at the stops that were providing shelter and food for them. It was more like the people that were transporting them. And so anyways, that's as far as I got right now. I hope you found this interesting. This is an interesting book, and I will talk to you later.